Hey, folks, my name is Chris Daly, and I have, for an occasion, to enter into conversation with one of the most premier thinkers within the Caribbean that I know of, is Dr. Shelly Cameron. She's a force in the world of leadership. She's quiet, but she's prolific in so many things. She's an author, she's a trusted HR consultant, and a transformational coach. She's helped countless professionals grow through change. Growing through change is something that we're up against, especially for a young season. Here we are in the spring of 2025. People are getting ready for graduation. Um, how are they going to be? But the world is going through a lot of changes. We're in the middle of a global pivot, being driven by several major mega events: manufacturing return to the United States, tariffs and trade policies and shifting, um, the way goods and services and employment are going to be delivered, and artificial intelligence, that disruptive but good source if used properly, that's going to be reshaping many, many industries. So I think about our college graduates this year, the moments they're feeling somewhat maybe exaggerated, but still on edge.
Yes.
And so, who else but to enter into conversation with Dr. Shelley as to see what kind of wisdom she can offer us today. Let's dive in. Dr. Shelley, welcome again in our conversation.
Thank you, Chris. Always such a pleasure to be with you.
Yes. So, you've coached many leaders through seasons of change, but this moment seemed to be particularly turbulent. And so we have lots of upcoming bright eyed professionals who need to understand about resilience that we talked about last time, adaptability, as they enter this AI driven restructured economy. What's your first thoughts about this?
Again, Chris, thanks for having me. And you're right. We're going through a season of real change, and it's not even just change; it's rapid change that will floor anyone. But what is important, I've always loved the topic of resilience. Resilience is the ability to bounce back from adversity. With all that's happening around us, the change can throw us off. Whether we're young or we're old, it can throw us off. Some fight it, some resist it, while others accept it and decide how to maneuver and easily adapt. So if you're thinking about, as you shared about AI is here to stay, right? AI is actually here to stay. Young people in the main will accept it and they often use it to their advantage, whether good or bad, as in what I would talk about as ethics, right? To be mindful of ethics. While you have baby boomers who often become overwhelmed because the society doesn't care who you are, how old you are, whether you're easily adaptable, yes or no. They throw it at you and you have to learn to either sink or swim. So if you don't try to learn and adapt, then you're going to sink, but most people have no choice but to adapt, right? Heck, if you think about everything, change you might remain the remember that change remain the same. How will
Mm,
you survive? Better yet, how will you thrive? You must adapt. You must adapt. Learn the new and find ways to make it better for you. AI can find trends in for the college student, AI can find trends in career and can tailor paths for professionals. But like I've always said, one of my favorite quotes is garbage in, garbage out, right? AI is a great resource, but if you're using it and you're not using it properly, then it can work against you. AI can help you to the college student. Yes, we're talking about the college student who's going to be an upcoming grad soon. It can help them to manage stress and overwhelm. What do I mean by that? Not the stress as in what you're going to be doing and exercise and so on. Yes, it can help with that because it can give you ideas, but I'm more talking about how can you manage the stress. And you manage the stress by becoming organized. So that's where AI can help you to say, okay, some of the things that you can do, you can put in AI. What are some of the things on your plan for a week? and it can trip out a schedule for you. So those are some of the things that we can do to help ourselves become organized using AI. Whether it's when you're looking for a job, it can also help you with all of those things. You're looking at the application processor. My over 25 years in HR management, and we know what we're looking for and the application process that it can be, if you're on the other side, it can be overwhelming. What are they looking for? How can we tap into the mind of the recruiter, the manager who's going to hire me, stuff like that. And that's where AI can give you some tips on what you need to do. And of course, that's AI, but also a coach can help with all of those things. So that's basically my thoughts on that question that you asked.
Boy, thank you for so many gems in that. And I hope people re listen to this and
Mm.
really see some of the gems that you've really did. The other thing that's dominated is this idea of tariffs.
Right.
And with tariffs comes supply chains, how things are going in. And I'm learning a new term. Instead of outsourcing, we're talking about resourcing, coming back, United
Yes,
States and manufacturing. And
yes,
that's
yes, yes.
remapping landscapes of people's careers, right?
Right,
What are
right.
some of the strategic advice you think you could give to recent college grads as they discern this fast moving world and how to align their talents in the direction the world's moving?
So if they're graduating now, it might be a little late. But then nothing is again, this is where resilience comes in, where you have to pivot, right? The world is changing. I worked with a pharmaceutical international company, and we had to pivot a lot when different countries change certain things that they have. I had one person in the middle in mid-air flying in a flight, and the laws changed. So by the time she got there, one of our managers, by the time she got into the country, she was held in security because she didn't have what they asked for. But she was in transit when the law passed. So you
Mm,
have to learn, and you have to have that team behind you that can help you to pivot, whether it's your family, whether it's friends, and so on. So I believe, as I said before, it starts from the first steps, right? First steps, as in when you're stepping into college. So those freshmen who are going in next year, they're the ones who need to know, start looking around. Is the degree that I'm going after, is it still relevant? Right? And that's where they need to scan the environment, then review, reflect, and do some research. I've always said, I love Stephen Covey, what he always said, begin with the end in mind.
mm,
Begin with the end in mind. When you begin with the end in mind, you're creating like a vision board, for example. Simple things I'm talking about for the college grad that they would know of. So you have a vision board, and then you work backwards. How can I get to where I want to go? And then there are different ways of getting there, right? One thing I wouldn't say to them is to not study, because I believe in education. And a lot of our Gen Zers are thinking that you learn by YouTube and not necessarily going to college. This is because college costs money and it also costs time. But it's very, very important that in this environment that you're able to think analytically and critical thinking, develop that business acumen that is needed. And the only way you do that is with becoming very smart, and that helps you with education. Actually helps a lot with that. So scan the landscape, right, to understand the changing nature of careers. That's the whole purpose of it, just to understand how careers change. Even the person who picks up the garbage now is not called a garbage collector, right?
mm.
They're called an environmentalist. That's what they're now called. So if you're looking for a garbage collector on Indeed, for example, I call it a site like that, you're not going to necessarily find that. So you have to be in tune with that system. Nothing remains the same. Ensure the career path that you've selected makes sense. Not all career paths. First time, remember, it was like a secretary. Woohoo! But if you search up what a secretary is, no, it's not the same thing, right? It's everything
Mm.
has changed, not the same thing. When you select the careers, you accept, too often, most of us select careers and accept student loans that we're now having battles with. Lots of student loans. And guess what? The career is extinct.
Yeah.
The career is no longer, yet you're paying back a lot of money for this, that degree that you have that are no longer useful in the economy. We graduate worse in worse jobs than when we graduate with trade jobs. So trade jobs are the in thing now. Do you know what the number one, well, at the top of the level, truck drivers? Who would have thought?
Oh,
Truck drivers are one of the top paying. They get money. Of course, are we prepared to be a truck driver? And when I die that, what do I mean? Are we prepared to be away from home for weeks on end, days on end, weeks on end? So it is worth the money that they're getting, the pay, the salary, the compensation that they're getting. It's worth it. But are others who are looking on to see them getting those big monies, are we prepared to do roll up our sleeves and do sacrifices, make the sacrifices that they're making? Again, I go back to spend time researching, search, research. Talk to industry leaders, people out there in the career path that you're interested in, and to find out before you invest in the career. We used to try and get government jobs for employees, for
mm,
no, for college grads, and that's a good thing. But guess what? The government employees now are shaky because of what is happening in our world and environment. It's a shaky position too. That doesn't mean that you're not going to go after it, but then you're going after it with a sense of awareness. A sense of awareness. What direction am I going in? So that's basically my response to that.
thank you for that. One of the things that I've heard some young people say is that, gee, we have AI is moving faster.
Mm.
Every 6 months, it's like it's a new generation, and the education institutions seem not to be catching up or
Right,
staying
right,
abreast of it.
right, yeah,
So
yeah.
there's a sense of overwhelming going
Mm,
into this
mm.
environment. How do they develop leadership if they're going to take in charge of their life in this rapidly changing, disruptive digital environment?
So I think again I'll go back to staying abreast of changes. And what do I mean by that? So you have the leaders who are hiring the college grad, and they too have to be kept abreast of of what's happening in our environment as far as AI is concerned. So colleges and universities, as I know, have had some really strong conversation with a few of them, and they insisted that, and they complained. If you're watching LinkedIn and reading articles on LinkedIn and discussions, then you would know that there's a lot of argument about AI. And for the college student, they think that they're plagiarizing. I'm an author. I wrote a book, and my research was on success strategies of Caribbean American leaders in the United States. So if you're putting that into ChatGPT, for example, chances are it might pick out some of my article that I wrote and my book, my research, and spit that out to someone else. So if that person now who is searching for success strategies finds it in ChatGPT and they regurgitate everything in it, then that's going to be plagiarizing because you don't know the source. Now they're putting a few sources in ChatGPT and other forms of AI, but it is important not to just grab everything. The practical way for them to search for information is really, and not for search for information, is yeah, to organize themselves. Again, I come back to organizing. So you can get an outline. So if you have a course that you have to respond to. I'm talking from this perspective of the college grad. You can get an outline from ChatGPT can give you an outline for what you're doing. And that is where the stress is managed, better managed. So it can give you an outline so you can write your paper based on the outline. Now, this is not anybody else's information. This is yours. So when you're going to speak to it, that's what is going to help you. So I will go back to the point about getting ahead of the changes, stay ahead of the curve. Leadership and managing yourself is all about influencing others. Act with integrity and transparency. Take responsibility for your actions. The keywords are integrity and honesty. How can you influence the actions of others if you lack the knowledge or you're afraid to take risk yourself? Think about that. This is for leaders and anyone. You're leading yourself. I believe in leading yourself. Um, the other things that can be done for them is they can build their brand, right? They can use the
Mhm.
AI to build their brand. They can create like resumes. You can look at their resumes and they can look and see what it is as this job. Does my resume match up to that job? Then you can look at your LinkedIn profile. That's how you can prepare, right? Look at your LinkedIn profile, optimize it. How do you optimize it? You find where AI can help you, but we can only research and use it. So what I've found in a lot of cases is that people tend to they research. The AI is there to help us. And I've always said AI technology is an enabler, right? It's an enabler. It's what we do with it. So we might put it in. Let's go back to the outline, for example. We put in the outline and then we end up glad that we have it. And then we end up stressed again because we didn't write the paper. We wait until the last minute to write the paper, right? And the same thing on the job as young entrepreneurs or young leaders, young managers in organizations. You're glad you have it. You find it. You researched it, but you need to write. And write means act. Okay, act. Don't just have the information, you need to act on it. Because what I found is a lot of persons do not act. So you're feeling good that you have the information, but you don't act on it. And if you don't act on it, yeah, it's not helping you, right? It's not
Wow.
helping you.
As you explore that and you use some key terms as that's trigger, you talk about being authentic, being
Right, right,
transparent.
right,
Talk a little bit about kids developing those soft skills because a lot of people are so leveraged
right,
about their hard skills.
right,
But
right,
now that if you're going to be adaptable, that's a soft skill.
mm,
Emotional intelligence, that's
right,
a soft
right,
skill. Having
right,
good values is a soft skill.
right,
Living a life of purpose is
right,
also a soft skill. Could
right,
you
right.
give us some more of your wisdom around those kind of issues?
So I partner a lot with a colleague of mine, Maxine Barnett. She really has a company that she does soft skills training, right?
Mm,
And part of what I would always suggest is be your own authentic self. Adopt trends that serve you, your goals, and your values, right? Create a vision and goals for your life. Then work it and make it real. Self awareness is very, very critical. You must understand yourself, you must understand your thoughts, what motivates you. And if you don't know, you ask, you seek feedback, ask others to tell you what it is that you're doing and how it can, and then you pull those pieces together so you can understand it. And if you can't do it yourself, then you go get a professional, a coach, like I mentioned, and the coach will help you to be able to see yourself. Simply put, how can you manage yourself? You make a decision, choose a path. I spoke about that before, and stick to it. Be ready if things change to pivot, right? Be ready to pivot if things change. Apply your skills to different areas. And I like always to talk about eyes wide open. See?
okay.
Eyes wide open. Preparation is key. Do not be caught off guard. Practice, practice, practice. I'm telling you, because a lot of times we're out there in our society, and what we end up doing is we take our minds of what is happening around us, and then we end up with surprise. We're not ready, we're not prepared. Yet the signs were always there. The
Yeah.
signs were always there. And if we hide from the signs, it's not going to help. We need to know, okay, this is happening and that's going to be the impact. This is happening and that's going to be the effect. See a lot of stuff happening in colleges and all, and we won't go on to the negative side of things, but keep your eyes open and then keep abreast of it. And that's where you can deal with your emotional intelligence, can help and serve you a lot.
You're very versed in both the corporate culture and also within the Caribbean culture. And we're going to be speaking to kids from, especially from a Caribbean context. How do you, in this new 21st century world, be able to be cultural bridgers and to be able to use that as a value as they go forward?
I think this is where cultural competence come
Ah,
into play. And community is a factor. As I said to you, having had some experience in the international arena, and by international, a global environment from the global pharmaceutical giant that I worked with, that opened my own personal eyes a lot to what exists out there. So it's very easy for me to think big, but not everybody can think big, right? You need to think along the horizon, understand different cultures, recognize that different people are different, right? They have different values, they have different beliefs and customs of others. We won't talk about if we go to the what they call the cookout. And you go to the cookout and there are certain things. You gotta have food for everybody. So if you have a diverse friend, then you have to have a replication of a representation of the food that they will eat because not necessarily everybody's going to eat the same thing if you're in a diverse environment. This will help you to understand what they do and why they do it. So that's where cultural competence comes into play. But I'll give you
Mm,
two examples, right? Um, the 30 under 30, as you mentioned, that I manage, I have been involved in along with other persons, right? For over 9 years so far. We've been involved in it, and what we do is scan the environment for people who are doing outstanding stuff, young leaders doing a lot of
right.
outstanding stuff. And there was one young fellow that college grad, and he studied robotics. And in him studying robotics, he realized that our ceremony, when we recognize them, is usually held in DC at the Inter-American Development Bank, IDB. So he came in, and then before he actually came, he was asking if we can assist him in setting up some talks with representatives there. So he was already on our back. So we're very busy organizing ceremony and recognizing them. And he was in the background knocking, 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 asking. But what you find is that he was being strategic with his training and his knowledge. If he's going to um, come all that way to DC, why not see the people who are in charge
Right.
of it? He was focused on robotics. So though he was annoying to us, right, annoying to the process that we were already doing, he was trying to step leaps and bounds ahead. So he's actually doing that. Then there's another college student that graduated and was looking on in one of the islands at all of the things that are happening. Now, these people are Caribbean American, I must say, not only the islands, but they're Caribbean American leaders under 30. And he was looking for the use of water in the environment and how people are wasting the water. And he decided he created some replica of stuff. I can't articulate what he did, but he created some stuff that he can wash a car with about 60% water than the average person uses. And then
Wow.
he has been recognized, and that's how we found out about him. He was recognized many places, and since our recognition of him, he has traveled worldwide as well, sharing that concept, speaking at conferences and so on. So this is how you can make a difference. These Gen Zers are making a difference. And that's why we go out and recognize them annually for the work that they're doing. So it's not the same thing just to do something, but it's what you're doing with what you have in your hand.
That's so powerful. And thank you for those two great examples.
Mhm.
I find that a lot of our kids may still have the mindset that's not like that. They have
Mm,
to, you go to college and you and you get some corporate job, and they
right,
think that's going to make it. But we live in now what they call the gig economy, where
right, right,
entrepreneurial skills like you just shared are going to be very important. And
right,
so, being able to practice your agency and taking um, control of your destiny, not
right,
somebody else.
right,
You
right,
you're outsourcing that.
right, right,
Speak to those kids who need to consider a mind shift
right.
in the way they should. The world is really trending, and if they're going to be survive, they really need to adopt a different
Right,
mind shift.
right, right, right. And the thing is, you talk about the kids and the young college graduate. It's like it's a mixed workforce now. So you have the older folks who are going back to college and are coming out because they realize that the skills they have no longer work. So they have to go back to college and get certified in different areas. For the entrepreneurship ventures that they need to get into, freelance careers, all of those kind of things, I would suggest that to feel empowered and not necessarily fear powerlessness, you need to build your brand. Again, I spoke about it before. Use LinkedIn. And how do you use LinkedIn to your advantage? You create a profile that speaks to where you want to go, what you want to do. Not necessarily to say, okay, I'm a teacher, a school teacher. No, but are you shaping the minds of young people? Are you shaping the minds? You're graduated with a college degree in teaching, and as an educator, how are you using it? How are you articulating it on your profile? Share personal achievements, right? And how do you achieve personal achievements? Some people may say, I've been in the workforce for a while, because people do work and study, right, Chris? They do work and
Yeah,
study. So
exactly.
share, you have to do what I always recommend to students to do, or those who are studying. I always recommend that they use whatever course they're doing to help them on the job, right? So that's how you write your own thesis and all of those things, because you're using the information that you have and applying it immediately on the job. Or we're talking about entrepreneurship as well. So if it is that you don't have the space for it on the job, then you take it elsewhere. You do some evening work, or it depends, morning, evening is relative these days. But you do in your off time, you create something. You go into freelance jobs, right? Tailor, diversify your jobs. So you might have two jobs. And a lot of students now, or young professionals, have more than one jobs. The first time 9 to 5 is not necessarily the only thing that they have. But I would always caution them to make sure you have the values and the integrity. Those are very, very important. So
Mm,
I'll give an example of the writing skills. I've recently posted an article about writing skills and how you can earn money from writing. There are many things that people are thinking that, okay, I'm a good writer, but can you edit? Because you're a good writer, can you do editing on the side? Right?
mm,
Also, can you create websites, right? Or if you
yeah,
can't create the websites, can you create the content for individuals who find it hard to write? And as I said, even if ChatGPT helps you, sometimes they still don't know how to put it together. Can you offer that service to people? Can you do other things that complements? And all we're talking about is writing right there, right?
yeah, exactly.
Freelance work, can you do those things without compromising? Maybe you can do it on the weekends. If you can't do it Monday to Friday, maybe you can do it on the weekends. There are things that you can do. And this is important because when the college graduate, um, um, when the when the student when the student leaves, graduates from college, they're going to come into a world where they find that the amount of money that they owe student loan is what they're getting on an annual salary, $30,000, for example.
Exactly.
Or they might not even be able to use it and go back to the truck driver who is taking a
Right.
lot of money and don't have those bills that are coming in. So it's all about networking, and I also always recommend that they speak with people out there who are in the jobs. So if it is a job that you see that's happening, can you talk with someone about it? They are always very, very willing. Chris, I know that if someone comes and speaks to you about patents and all of those things, you
Right.
will be able to sit them down and say, okay, if you're going to build this and you want to patent it, then these are the steps that you need to follow. So you have no problem talking to them about those things. I personally have no problem sitting down with someone, and I spend my life doing that anyway, working with them. Because I personally made some mistakes, and I don't want, if I have the power to help someone not make those same mistakes, then quite frankly, I'm 100% willing to do that. I hope that answers your question.
Yes, you have. Boy, you've been so kind with your time and your wisdom. You're in the room. If you have one more thing to say, you're in the room of graduates. They're all excited. Some are excited, some are nervous.
Yes.
What's one thing that you would say to them in closing to give them that special sense of clarity and
Mhm.
resilience as they go forward?
As I'm reflecting on that, Chris, I think it's maybe more than one thing that I want to share.
Okay.
Um, that, and I go back to a story that I have, as you asked about stories. And there's a beauty contestant that we have. We have had several over the years that we recognize. And that beauty contestant became a flight attendant. And when she became the flight attendant, she traveled the whole world. And then she used their platform of followers on social media to educate and share with others about the countries that she's visited, what they do, how they've done it, and so on. And then she links it back to her own island that she's from, sharing with them how they do this and how they do that. So we do have things in our hands, but it's what we're doing with it. So the average flight attendant is not doing that, right?
Mm.
But the forward thinking Gen Zer decided, hey, I'm going to all these places. Why not use my personal time that I'm there to do some things as well to educate others? There's another young lady that I was thinking of as well, and her grandmother, while she's studying, her grandmother had dementia. So she had to go through all of these caring things with her grandma who had dementia. And instead of thinking, woe is me, I'm undone, she didn't do that. Guess what she did? She turned it into a movement. She started going
Wow.
out and speaking to people, educating others in her little community about how to help people who are suffering from dementia while still doing the other thing and being productive. Now, guess what she has done? After doing all of that, she's gone global. She won an award from the Ignite Caribbean, and she also took that and she has traveled worldwide, speaking at conferences on the topic. And guess what she's doing now? She not only went after her master's, but she's also doing her PhD because she wants to cement that purpose of going out. And she is, I don't think she's even 30 yet. You understand? So
Wow.
it is what we do with what is in our hands. So essentially, what we do is what we have in our hands is what we use to do it. And I want to leave you with a few tips. Remember, you asked me for one, so I decided to give
Yes.
you two examples. But I'm gonna give,
Okay.
yeah, I gave two examples already: the dementia and the flight attendant. But I want to um, walk away with these tips, and these tips are: one, it's good for them to have realistic goals. So graduates should have realistic goals. Reality is very, very important. Not up there or think that, I've studied this, therefore I'm going to wait to use it. If it's no longer there, then pivot fast. Connect with like-minded professionals. Connect with like-minded professionals and make it strategic. And it's also very important to make good decisions. Make good decisions. And what I'll also say is to stay curious. Stay curious. They always seek knowledge. Stay curious and seek knowledge. Knowledge is power. If you don't know, then you're ignorant. And not because you graduated with a degree means that you're all knowledgeable. No, continue to fertilize and that knowledge that you have so it can grow. Keep your eyes open. I mentioned that before. Keep your eyes open to what is happening in the society as it changes. It's going at the speed of a bullet, the speed of a train. Keep your eyes open. Remain grounded. Keep your eyes open, but remain grounded. And one thing I cannot underestimate and I cannot underemphasize: be patient, but don't
Okay.
lag. Be patient. Patient is so important. Don't lag, but don't be overzealous and too hurried, right? That's when you make irrational decisions. See something and you just go after it very fast. Yet it's well, afterwards you realize it's a wrong decision. And another point I want to mention is manage finances. Manage your finances.
Oh,
Too often it is not taught in schools. Um, you're not taught how to manage credit. You're not taught how to manage debt. And guess what? I found that as you get into college, the credit card companies love you. They present you as you graduate and you reach up age. They present you with that. Here you go. This is your credit card. Here, present you with it, and then you have credit. And guess what? You have no knowledge how to manage that credit. So before you know it, you're steeped in debt and you can't come out of it, you can't pay, right? So beware of those credit card companies. Don't knock in all of them because they have their purpose, but I'm just saying be careful of it if you and seek knowledge on finances, how to manage your finances. And finally, the last thing I'd say to them is celebrate achievements.
ah,
Yeah, celebrate your achievements. There's nothing more than celebrating, stepping forward and celebrate. Take a time to stop and celebrate the path that you turn. So I hope that helped.
this is so wonderful. Thank you so much, Dr. Shelley. I'm pretty sure somebody's going to hear this. Say, how do I follow this lady? Or know, I know she's written. Is there a website or stuff you like to share? People can
Uh,
kind of see some
actually,
of your stuff.
actually, my website site is actually successfulleaders.net. That's a blog that I have that I share. Anything that I find, I love knowledge, and anything I find that I can share, it's there, successfulleaders.net. I'm also on Instagram. I tend to post a lot of motivational quotes because people need to be motivated, and I share other things on leadership and anything coaching. So that's our leadership and coaching, and that's on LinkedIn. I'm on social media. I'm a
You can be found.
evaluator. Yes, HR consulting, everything. I get my hands into a lot of things, but they're all surrounded personal growth and development of individuals.
I can't thank you enough for your generosity of your wisdom and your time. And thank you so much. You've given us a master class this morning as to what it takes, not just credential, it's
Right,
character,
yeah,
it's
right,
curiosity,
right.
and perseverance. Don't
Yes,
give
yes,
up.
yes. Right, right.
And
Don't give
credit
up.
management.
That one was unexpected, right?
Exactly. But that's the gem that you give us. So thank you,
Right, right,
thank you,
right.
thank you, Dr.
Yeah, yeah.
Cameron, this
It
morning.
was a pleasure, Chris. Thank you for inviting me.